Hey guys, how's it going? I hope that you're having a great day. I've officially lived in Arizona for a full year now, and that's been kind of crazy to consider. The time passed so fast, I didn't even realize until it was like a couple days after, and I was like, oh yeah, we moved here literally right now. And I didn't even think about it. It wasn't until I was talking about the Super Bowl with somebody and I asked like who played last year and they said who it was and I was like, oh yeah, wasn't that when Lady Gaga played the halftime show? And that was like 2 Super Bowls ago now. And I didn't think about that. So literally while we were in the U-Haul, the Super Bowl was going on. And so that wasn't even a thing in my mind. I didn't even think about it. It wasn't a big deal to me because we were moving. We're in a U-Haul, like moving across state lines. That's kind of crazy. So some things that I obviously had talked about in a previous video about moving to Arizona from Idaho. And we've definitely noticed a lot more stuff. It's been very interesting. So I just want to touch upon a couple of things that maybe people don't realize that when you are moving from state lines to really consider, especially from Idaho to Arizona, because things are quite a bit different. The biggest thing is car registration. It is far more expensive than you think it's going to be, especially if you have a newer vehicle. Even though you don't have to pay emissions if your car is like within 5 years, I think it is here, whereas like Utah's like 3 years. So if you don't have to do emissions check, your car registration is like significant. They base it on what like the vehicle is worth. So if your car is more expensive or a nicer car, it is going to be quite pricey to register your car. Just to give you kind of a rough estimate, so our 2017 Chevy Sonic obviously is 2 years old at this point for booking, and it's not super fancy, but it's nice. You know, it has like a tech package in it and whatever, but it was around $350 to actually register that car. Something that also with car registration, if you buy a brand new car at a car lot, most car places will actually count in your registration and your plate, license fees, and all of that. Whereas like Idaho, you still have to go to the DMV and you still have to pay for a license plate. So Arizona, you do not. I don't know if it's every single car lot that does that, but the one that we went to, Auto Nation, where we bought our brand new Jeep, it was included in the cost of the vehicle. Second thing is obviously your sales tax. Sales tax here is like 8.3 to 8.6 depending on the county that you're in, and the counties kind of like run together, so you don't know when you're in a different county or not. Whereas Idaho, obviously you know where the county line is. Like everybody knows where the county lines are for the counties, especially when you live like right on the border. Like everybody's like, oh, that person that lives on that street, yeah, they're in that county, and then the other person across the street is in the other county. And it's like very prevalent of where you're at and what kind of sales tax. Sales tax in Idaho was very easy to calculate, especially when I was younger, and it was only 5%, and now it's 6%. So like 5%, if it was $1, it's 5 cents. Like very easy. You go to the dollar store and it's like, okay, yeah, I know how much it's gonna be. Here, you kind of just pay because you can't really calculate it unless you're like carrying your phone around. 8.6% is kind of an odd sales tax. But the great news about that is when you file your taxes, you're more than likely going to get stuff back from your state as long as you file appropriately. Now, speaking of filing taxes, something that's different in Arizona than it is in Idaho, Idaho has a straight sales tax. You don't get to choose. And so some people that are from Idaho, they're maybe like, what are you talking about? Like choose what? So when you start a job here in Arizona, you have a form, and that form to fill out is for your state tax, and you get to choose what percentage you want taxed on. So like the basic one is like 0.8, 1.3, 1.9, and it goes up from there. You can go all the way up to 3%, or you can even check a box and say what percentage you want them to withhold from your tax for your check. So that was very strange and weird to us here. So we just kind of chose the middle box. I think it was like 1.3, 1.5, something like that. And that's what we went with because we don't know. We've never had to do that before. So that was kind of interesting. Now, some good things, not necessarily all these like, oh my gosh, like so overwhelming, you're spending a lot more money or anything, but some good things about moving from Idaho to Arizona is obviously the amount of people that are living in this area. Now, we were told that the area was going to be a lot more open-minded, like we have piercings, me and my husband, and tattoos, and we were told that people were going to be a lot more open-minded, and obviously there was going to be more people with piercings and tattoos. Unfortunately, the area that we live in, where we're like kind of in the middle of like Glendale, Peoria, North Phoenix area, there is not. There's only been a couple of girls where I've seen where they have like a nose piercing. There's been the stray like septum piercing, but I have not seen people with piercings just walking around. I still get stared at all the time. If you haven't checked out my judgment video, check it out here. This is literally what I experience on a day-to-day basis of walking around, just having piercings in. I don't have mine in right now because I just got off work and I wanted to sit down and make this video, but it's just so frustrating. So frustrating. You're in a bigger area, you feel like people are going to be more accepting, and unfortunately I don't feel like that's entirely true. It might be depending on where I'm living, but I don't know. That's just what it is. Since it is a bigger area though, you have a lot more job opportunities. That's been amazing here. Something that's different from Idaho to Arizona is how to get a job. So in Idaho, if you know somebody, more than likely you can get a job somewhere, especially if it's something that's being gatekept, where literally you have to know somebody in order to work there or to move up. Here, it's very much you don't really need to know anybody. Like, that would probably be nice, but there's so many people, how would that be possible? But the biggest difference between Idaho and Arizona living is Idaho, in order to get a job, you could literally walk in, hand them your resume, and you could be hired. You also might have to do applications online, and you have to go through this process of doing a cover sheet and, you know, calling and all this extra stuff. You really have to do a lot of legwork in order to get a job. You have to prove to them that you want this job. And it's a lot of like third party outside, like you speak via like the internet. Now here in Arizona, how it's different is you're gonna struggle trying to get a job on Craigslist. You're gonna struggle getting a job on Indeed.com. How you get a job here in Arizona is you pretty much have to go to a job fair. And a job fair, they'll have like several different vendors, several different jobs, and you go there with like 10 copies of your resume, and you go dress up really nice and you hand out your resume. And more than likely you'll be able to get a temp job or something starting. The other thing about temp jobs is that's a really big deal here in Arizona. If you want to work for a specific field or work with a specific like packing company, you have to go through a temp agency. Idaho, they don't really have temp agencies. They had just started doing them as I was coming into the workforce when I was like 15 and 16. But the most that you do with a temp agency in Idaho is you box potatoes. That's pretty much all that it is. It's a lot of legwork. There's not really like secretarial. You don't go get a temp agency to get a job that way. Whereas like here, when I moved to Arizona, my first job was working with a temp agency, and I was an accountant. And that was super weird to me. I was like, oh, this is totally shady. This is a scam. No, not in Arizona. That's how you do things here. Other thing about Arizona is please be aware that there are a lot of homeless people here. It is very, very sad. Like, there is actually a huge population of homeless people in Idaho. If you haven't seen my homeless video, go ahead and check it out here. I have a lot more to talk about being homeless in Idaho. You just don't see it as much. It is there. I met a lot of people while I was homeless, and it's very sad. It just is what it is. No matter where you live, there's going to be homeless people. And here, particularly, I feel like there's a lot more people that can be scary and seem a little bit threatening. Just being homeless. I've had several people come up to me and approach me. Some people that you can obviously tell are not actually homeless, and that really, really sucks, because I feel like that gives homeless people that actually need help a bad name. So you just have to be kind of aware of your surroundings at all times. More than likely your window's going to get knocked on. They're going to want you to roll down your window, and they're going to request something or say that they'll do something for you. And it's totally up to you if you feel like what they're trying to offer you is worth it. For me, I just make sure that I'm just aware of my surroundings. I'm not too afraid. Like, I can't go shopping by myself or anything, but just be aware that that's a thing here. One of the positive things about moving from Idaho to Arizona is everywhere is pretty much pet friendly. Anywhere that you live, like, you just have to pay an extra pet deposit. It's like $200 depending on the rental place, and you pay like an extra $25 a month for your pet. No questions asked. They do have breed restrictions, obviously, but we've actually had a couple apartment places that we've seen where they actually will let you have an exception to the breed, or they're not very strict on their restrictions here. So that's been really awesome having as a difference from Idaho to Arizona. Idaho was like ridiculous trying to find a place that would, like, oh my gosh, it's so ridiculous. So annoying. Like, I understand that people have pets and the pets ruin things, but that's why there's a pet deposit to cover that. And then I don't understand the distinction between a dog is okay, but a cat's not. Like, when dogs aren't allowed, but cats are, because they say that cats aren't destructive. Obviously, you've never owned a cat. You don't know what you're talking about. And dogs being destructive, it's, yeah, they can be, but so can cats, so can birds, so can a hamster. Like, anything could destroy something, but I've seen children be more destructive than a well-trained animal. So, you know, if you want to put a deposit on a child too, like, whatever. The apartment complexes are far larger than the ones in Idaho. You will be having several neighbors. If you're expecting to have a townhome and only have one neighbor, it's going to be kind of difficult unless you're paying like a lot of money. Now, money, there is a higher wage here. Minimum wage, I think it just raised to $15 an hour or $11 an hour. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I'll put that here. But the minimum wage here in Arizona compared to Idaho right here is amazing. It's very easy to find a full-time job here too. It's great. I mean, me and my husband have been able to really tackle our bills and really be able to like come from almost losing everything to being able to have a amazing apartment that we're moving into. We're going to be paying just a little bit more than what we're paying right now, but we get a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment, and we get to have our dog, and I couldn't ask for anything better than that. The weather is very different as well here in Arizona than Idaho. Like, obviously the heat, but if you've never experienced monsoon season, that is quite interesting. It's not scary, it's not terrible, but you do need to be careful about driving in the water and that. I did that one day. I decided that I wanted to go home and there was a monsoon warning and I got stuck in it and it felt like I was driving through a hurricane. It was kind of crazy, and I was just in our little Chevy Sonic. So do be aware of the weather. It is far different here. Speaking of the weather as well, the seasons are a bit wonky just because it heats up, it cools down, it heats up, it cools down for winter here. You know, thankfully there's no snow, so that's great. But there's definitely like, I feel like we're on 4th spring right now. Like, as something heats up, the tree starts to bloom, and then it gets cold at night and it goes below freezing, and so then it thinks that it is winter, and so it loses the blooms and then does it over and over and over. So I feel like we're in like 4th spring right now. So that's kind of crazy. The plants are very different as well. The only tree that I've noticed that Idaho shares with Arizona is the pine tree. All the other trees are different. There are no birch trees. There's these weird like trees here. I don't even know what they're called, but I'll look up a picture and I'll put it right here so that you can see it. I don't know how to describe it. Like, the bark is green and it's smooth, and the blossoms, like, it smells so good. A lot of the plants here are very harsh. Like, if you are doing yard work, you want to wear gloves. And surprisingly, there's actually a lot of greenery here. I know that, like, in my mind, I was thinking when we were moving here that everything was going to be brown and ugly and I would hate it, but it's actually, like, really pretty. And I'm super happy to say that I don't have allergies anymore. So that's been really nice, going from living in Idaho and having really, really bad allergies. Like I took a Kenalog shot every single year and now I don't have to because I'm allergic to cottonwood trees and there's no cottonwood trees here. So that's been really nice. So I haven't had to deal with that. So that's been great. So if you're thinking about moving somewhere to where your allergies aren't so bad, you might consider Arizona. People who drive on the road here, they definitely drive very different. There are some people that are super aggressive. Everybody speeds like 10 miles over the speed limit speed. But everybody's pretty good about like sharing the road. Nobody knows how to zipper merge here, so that's something that's been really sad. I missed that about North Carolina being there because everybody knew how to merge pretty much. And then probably the saddest thing for me about moving from Idaho to Arizona is missing my favorite Chinese food. The Chinese food here is not the same, especially fried rice. So we had New Hong Kong's fried rice, and I'll show a picture here so that you can see what that looks like, because it's actually like, it's really, really good. And there's nowhere here that does anything similar. It all looks very weird and odd, and they like put carrots and like peas in it, and it's just not right. It's so not right. I don't know how to explain that. If you're like looking for a specific type of like Chinese food, I don't know. I've heard that they have better Chinese food here, like different styles, but I definitely have not found anything that's been like my fried rice in Idaho. So do be aware of that. And that's probably been like the biggest thing about moving from Idaho to Arizona is the weather, what you pay for and what you don't pay for, how to get a job, and then the food. They do have like some good food joints here, and I definitely would miss a lot of them, and I'd want to come back for the food. But like legit, like the number one thing that I miss about Idaho is the food. I miss Scotty's Drive-In, I miss Roops, and I miss Riverside Deli, and I miss Mr. Pizza and New Hong Kong. Ugh, just so much good food. Miss so much. It sucks so bad. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If there's anything that you've noticed different about Idaho to Arizona or Arizona to Idaho or anywhere else that you've lived, go ahead and comment down below. And if you guys want to go ahead and subscribe to my channel, that way you can be part of the Panda Squad, where we're super cool, super awesome. I love pandas, so that's just something I wanted to start. I think that would be super cool. I now have 20 subscribers, so thank you all who have subscribed to my channel so far. It is amazing. I am super excited for you guys to join me on my journey of just documenting my life, talking about things, and having conversations with people. I'm so excited. Like, I have goosebumps. I'm so excited about this. Like, every time I have somebody comment on a video or like a video, I'm just like ecstatic. That's where I'm at. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Remember, I love every single one of you. I hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video.